As I said earlier, it's Thursday. Thanks to Miss Ricky, I have magnets for my fridge to know what day of the week it is when I don't have appointments.
That's awesome.
And like I said in the promo videos for this, typically Invisible No More on Thursday nights is myself and a guest, and the guest shares their story regardless of their diagnosis. And it's an opportunity for us to glean information from them and to possibly pick up on tips and tricks for us to be more successful. It's also an opportunity for us to connect with somebody, whether we have the same diagnosis, to know that we've experienced what they've experienced, so we're not alone in this fight. And so that's kind of what it is. So tonight's topic, though, is going to be different. We're going to take a topic instead of a person. Gaslighting. And yes, I did a video earlier this week because my comments were flooded after a video I posted. I was pissed, I was furious, but I also posted that video because I know I'm not the only person this has happened to. But believe it or not, I'm not the focus for it. Well, that focus will be later on. What I want to focus on are the messages I get from people in the invisible community who, we all deal with gaslighting from doctors and nurses and hospitals. We all deal with society not believing who we are. We face it sometimes in this community, but also our own family members, the people we love and we turn to for care at times, don't believe what's going on with us. And before we get into that, I want to say when we work as a community, things can really work out. I got this message this week, and I'm going to read it off. It says, you and Dr. Mike gave me a book because I haven't been able to work for 5 years, and it was great. It's great of you guys to think of me. I really used to think I was all alone in this new world I'm living in with no instructions. But now I know I'm not. It's not anything I did, y'all. That's what the community's done for this person.
Yeah.
That's when it works. That's when we're there for each other. That's when we acknowledge everybody's experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also get some comments like this in regards to the video I did about gaslighting. This is exactly why I don't participate in a lot of lives, and I have blocked many, quote, advocates. They talk about they struggle every day. Then they talk about amateur advocates, that don't believe. So that's why when we get to the end tonight about the community part, that's why it's important. But we'll get to that. So, hey, Deborah. So the message that really got me wanting to do this live tonight was somebody messaged me, and they've been on pain meds for 3 or 4 years, and their spouse came to them, has started coming to them repeatedly. You don't need those meds, and you should quit taking them. Which, as a chronic pain patient, because that's what they are. Thank you for the hat, y'all. As a chronic pain patient, that's crushing for me to read that message. Yeah. And because our spouse is somebody that we're supposed to be able to turn to when we're beat up, right? When we can't get help from the doctors, we can't get help from society, when our possible children or our other extended family don't believe us. Our spouse is the one, right? And for them to say, you don't need these, you need to stop taking them. I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and Amy, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you're blessed too, because our spouses aren't like that. And a lot of us don't have to face this, but a lot of people face their journeys alone, and they face nightmares like this, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to this person, and I was like, look, would it be okay if I brought this up to the community? And as a community, maybe we can come up with some ideas. My number one suggestion to him was, I went back to what I read in Dr. Mike's book and what I've experienced. And I suggested treating it almost like going to a new provider.
Mm.
and say, listen, I know that you don't like me on these meds. I know,
Right.
but you need to understand I don't like me on these meds.
Right.
And I don't enjoy taking them. There's no buzz here.
No.
Um, and my suggestion to this person was, how about calmly, if at all possible, explaining to them,
Yeah.
kind of a takeoff of the old 80s Reagan anti-drug. This is my brain with my pain meds. This is my
Right.
brain without pain meds. And
There you go.
I understand you're not happy with me taking these meds, and I wish I could stop. I wish I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to rely on them. But if I
Yeah.
don't take them, this is what you're going to see more of. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to see me on edge more. You're going to see me shutting down more. You're going to see me not being able to participate not only in your life, but the kids' lives, our
Yeah.
outstanding family's life. And approach it possibly that way,
Mm-hmm.
because in
Absolutely.
my twisted mind, I think not only do we need to explain to our care team what our life is like when we're not treated adequately, but I
Mm-hmm.
think we need to remind our personal care team,
Mm-hmm.
at times. I mean, I know at times we bitch and moan my back. I mean, God damn, pardon me, sorry, girl. Valerie has heard me today talk about, bitch and moan about my pain today. But
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes, we do have conversations about what's changed and what's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
And which is really just a takeoff of when I go talk to Dr. Leak, my pain manager,
Right.
my current pain management guy. You know, So I don't know. Was I wrong in sharing it from that point of view or that type of
No.
angle?
No. I think that's great, especially if you're, you know, just if you're facing somebody who doesn't understand, going through step by step of what exactly you're going through, maybe what your symptoms feel like. When we go to the pain doctor, if we're looking for an increase in medicine, we don't ask for it. We say, this is our quality of life. This is how it's affecting our quality of life.
Mhm.
And I think that approach is a great approach. I mean, it's definitely, if you haven't tried it, I think that's great to try and see if that helps. But I think, finding some way for them to understand is so important. And, I asked my husband before this, I said, this is our topic for tonight. And I explained to him kind of the email or the message that you had gotten and everything. And I said, I am very blessed. He has never gaslit me. He has always been very supportive of everything. He met me well after I had been sick. And I said, why don't you gaslight me? Why don't you ask me to get off my medications? Why are you the way you are? Basically, is what I was asking him. Like, why? Why don't you do that? Because my mother always asked me to get off my medications. Like, my family members don't like me on it.
Mhm.
And, he said something. He goes, I see you every day. I know how this affects you. And he's like, I've had family members come to me and say they don't like, Amy really needs to get off that stuff. It's killing her insides and, it's doing these horrible things to her. And he said, what I tell them is it may be killing her insides, sure. And would I love for her to get off of them? Yeah, she would love to get off of them. But I would rather have her here. He was like, if she got off of all this medication and was in uncontrolled pain, she wouldn't be here much longer. And that's the sad reality of it, is that people who are just cut off cold turkey or who don't have access to anything, they don't end up on this earth for very much longer. And I wouldn't be far from that. I mean, I've been very honest with him about stuff, and I said if I didn't have any of this, I wouldn't be here. And so he says, I would rather have her here than not have her here. So if that means her being on this medication, then that's what it means. Point blank.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not true, because I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have any of this. And yeah, I would love to get off of it, but I'd also rather be here and live the best life that I can in the process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's, I think you just put, when I said that I don't want to take these meds, you just described exactly
Yeah.
why, what I'm trying to express when I say I don't want these meds.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't have to take them. I wish I didn't
Mhm.
have to schedule my life around when I can do things and I can't do things, and
Yeah.
but I, but I'm trying to go through the comments the best that I can.
You want me to?
No, I'm just wondering if anybody, I know some of y'all are experiencing this as well, and
Yeah.
if you could throw some suggestions, whether they whether they've worked or not for you, or if they're not working for you, how do you, how can we get back to this person and say, you're never going to convince them, but try living like this? I'm looking for any type of things, you know, and so is this person, because this person loves their spouse, but at the
Yeah.
same time, they know that if they quit taking what's limited pain meds are on, that everything changes.
Everything
Everything changes.
changes. And
Um,
I think the other thing that has helped me along the way is finding something that they can relate to. So, my husband, for instance, has cluster headaches like 2 times a year.
mm,
But when he gets those, I'm like, okay, so you understand like the ice pick stabbing pain in your eyes and whatever. And he'll go, yeah. And I'm like, okay, great. So imagine that 24/7, 365. And they can kind of go, oh, okay, well, I know how miserable I am when that happens, and that works. So, like, my mother in law, she has bladder issues. And I'm like, okay, so you have bladder issues. You know how uncomfortable it is when that flares up, and how you feel, and how you're grumpier when you don't feel good. Okay, well, imagine that all the time and nothing works for it to go away. Or imagine that times 10, and like try and find something that they have experienced that they can relate to. Now, I'm not saying that's perfect, because my mother in law still does not quite understand, but I think that kind of helps them grasp they've experienced that pain before. So they know what that feels like. So if they could imagine it 24/7, or imagine it more often, then they kind of get a taste of what you're going through.
I'd
I
love
don't know.
that. No, I love that. I think that anybody in our invisible circle that we need to that we lean on, I think
Yeah.
we need to have an understanding between the two of us of what, how do I say this,
I'm sorry, Sarah.
that pain or a situation. How can I say it? It's like when I was talking to Dr. Mike the other night about how I wanted my doctor to know what a 7 is to me, and I want to know what a 7 is to him, right?
Yeah.
So we have a better understanding. If I come in and say, he asked me, where you at? And I go, I'm a 7. He goes, oh crap, that, because if I'm at a 7, I'm doing this, and you made it here, you know? Well, it's like, yeah, I'm a pain patient. I'm gonna do what I got to do, right?
Yeah. I
So,
gotcha.
and that's kind of what you're saying there is maybe find is it a common ground? Is that the term I'm looking for?
Yeah, I think so. And I
Um,
mean, they will never understand what we go through, but I think maybe giving them a glimpse of something they have experienced, I think it helps. It's not a full solution, but I do think it helps a little bit for them to kind of understand where you might be coming from. Because obviously our pain is different. Your 4 is probably different than my 4, but it's probably around the same, you know? Like it's roughly about the same. So you can say, like, if you're in this much pain now, imagine being in that all day
yeah.
and all night.
Or
Your
maybe,
medicine works, you know?
or or maybe open the conversation with, if your body was hurting enough that you didn't want to go to Target, what level
Right.
of pain would you associate that at? Right.
Lot.
And if they're honest and they say that's like a 7 or 8, okay, I don't want to go to Target any day because
Right.
that's where I'm at, but I go. And they'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
it can't be that bad. Well, it is that bad.
It is that bad.
I wonder
Yeah.
though, and this might be controversial, if in a situation, if it's possible, okay, if it's possible, if we say to that spouse or that family member, okay, you don't want me to take my pain meds, I'm going to stop taking them for a week,
Yeah.
and I'll have you deal with me when I have nothing in me. Of course, I'll talk to your doctor first. Don't do anything stupid. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Only license I have is to drive a vehicle in the state of Texas. All right.
Hypothetically, you would tell them, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of us can't do that, right?
No.
But after 24 hours, Valerie would be like, go get your freaking meds, man. You're a dick, you know? Because I do when I'm not, you know. And I don't know. This person sent me this message and it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I know they're not alone. I know it is. Erica said, I had to explain what gaslighting was to my hubby last weekend. Actually tell me, they say do this, and so they don't, maybe that's the thing. Maybe we need to politely find a way to explain to them what they're saying, and they may not even know that they're doing it. While I was like, so far, I accidentally hit pause and I missed 41 comments. So I mean, because it's tough.
I think it's just, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's just really hard because, unfortunately, you are gonna have some people who are just anti-opioid. Period. You cannot change their mind, even if you say, "But look at all the good that it does. Look at all the good that all of these people are seeing from it." Some people are still just gonna be against it. And those people, I fear that you just cannot change their mind. You can try and get them to have as much empathy as you can. But some people just have a hard stance on it. And that's unfortunate because, when I was talking to my husband earlier, I was like, I wish there was a database that we could poll the entire United States of America. And if you're either for or against it, and if you're against them, then anytime you have surgery or if something drastic happens to you, you'd be like, sorry, you can't have them because remember, you didn't like them. Sorry, you can't have them now, even though you think you need them. We need them. You can't have them. And I was like, but I don't think that's legal. We probably can't do that. But that would be great because I think some people, you're just not going to change. They are going to believe it till their dying day.
Yeah. I think
it'd be amazing, right?
Pardon me?
I said it would be amazing if we could do that.
It would be. I wish we could. I think the other thing for this, in this case, and the others that are fighting this, is difficult, and it's communication.
Yeah, you just have to keep trying.
It's the communication, And Beth just, I love this comment. I've had people yell at me about my meds while they're drinking their ninth beer. Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Like my pain doc says I can drink whatever I want. There's no limitations on alcohol.
Jeez.
Yeah. Even though it's not recommended because, you're on opioids. But I don't drink. So, anyway. But I mean, and when you go bigger picture, past your partner, and past your inner circle of family, there's society, right? For a while, when this is pre us living in Vegas, when we would go shopping, and Valerie had for a little bit of time a handicap placard, right? And they would see her getting out of the car fine, and the looks people would give,
That is why I hate to use mine.
And I can be a very aggressive caretaker, I would never have any
No,
problems with people, you know.
never.
Um, you know, when they would shoot the dirty looks and stuff like that, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, we face that. We face asking. Some people don't feel comfortable asking for help with groceries when they leave the grocery store, you know,
Hmm.
because of the look saying, well, you know, I'm not in a wheelchair. I should, you know, what are they going to say? Ask for this type of stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's hard, but
We have to start trying to break out of our invisible shell, right? Um,
yeah.
the other thing I
Hard.
wanted to bring up in regard to this gaslighting is the community.
Hmm.
Um, Nobody in this, I've been looking at the commenters, at least nobody in the commenters or anybody that sent me messages after my video. But
That's good.
the comment I got, one of the very first comment I got about people telling me my experience wasn't real. This is why I don't participate. And it's heartbreaking.
Yep.
It's heartbreaking that as a community inside of us, some people sometimes can't show grace. And I got a lot of feedback saying when people are hurting, they lash out. And I get that. I understand that. I really do, because I get asked Valerie, when I'm in a lot of pain, my temper gets short, right? But I also get messages like this, because when the community works, people don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to address it. I always nip it if I see comments like that on somebody's video. I always say, "Listen, you never lived there. You don't know their lived experience." Um,
No.
so, what can we do to help nip that in the bud in the community? I mean, it sucks that somebody's family doesn't believe them. It sucks that society doesn't believe us because we're invisible. It sucks majorly that our partner in life doesn't want to believe us. But we finally find what could be a community of people who do get us. And when we get pushed back on that,
Right.
that can be devastating. And we get people who don't want to participate,
Yeah.
which is sad, you
Hmm.
know? And I don't
Yeah.
have an
I
answer for
mean,
that.
yeah. I mean, I almost got pushed out of the community right when I first started stepping my toe into it because of rude people. And unfortunately, you're gonna have that in life. And when people say hurt people, that drives me nuts because I'm like, listen, I've been hurt many times in my life and I don't lash out or say hurtful things to people. But again, I'm not everybody. But I think it's just what is so important and what I think about every day is why did I look for a community? Why did I why did I seek this community out? Because I felt alone. Because I wanted to be seen, loved and heard and accepted by by people that knew exactly what I was going through. That is why I sought this community out. So that's why other people are seeking us out. So you reacting to them with hate or rudeness, remember why you came to this community. Like, remember why you wanted to be a part of this community. You wanted to be seen, loved, and heard. So, yeah, their experience may be completely different than yours, or you may think they're wrong, but that's their experience. And they just want to be seen, loved, and heard. And so react to them in that way, like even if you don't agree with them, you don't have to comment. But if
And
you see a video, remind them that they're loved or reach out to a fellow member and just be like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Because that's why we came here. That is why we looked for a community. And that's why everybody else is looking for community. And so, like, that sounds so like simple and easy, but just remember why you came. Remember why you wanted this community. Like,
and I know I harp and I get a little bit appropriate pushback because I always try to use this definition, and it's my ADHD, whatever you want to call it, it's my spectrum, whatever, that I have to have, things have to be defined for me to understand it. And
Yeah.
I apologize because I'm going to say it again. Invisible is a group of people with completely varied diagnoses who come together to share their lived experiences so others can be more successful.
Yeah.
And when it works, it works. People don't
It
feel alone
works.
anymore. That when we question
And
their lived
I,
experiences, you know,
yeah, and I
um,
understand that being scared to share and not wanting to get involved because you're afraid that somebody will be rude to you. And I get that. I understand that. I lived it. But I promise you that sharing your story and being active in the community, there may be a negative. I can't promise you it's going to be 100% smooth sailing, but it's going to be a lot of good that's going to come out of it. But I do understand why people are weary, but I think so much good comes out of it and so much can be learned when
just
you share
kills
your
me.
stories.
It just kills me that what's making them leery is something that, to me, is a basic tenet of the whole philosophy of the whole
Right.
community.
Yeah.
Advo, Karen, and you said something, a message here that a comment that I'm totally not understanding. We've got to get back to talking about DX. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So if you can help me with that, I'd appreciate that. You know, um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a key component, right? I, Jay's experience. By the way, Jay's live is up on YouTube right now. That was a really good one. And his experience with CRPS, his experience with workers' comp in Illinois, his experience with doctors, it's not mine. I can't duplicate. It's horrendous. I wouldn't want to have to live what he lived. But at the same time, I'm able to take things out of Jay that he shares. Same thing with Amy's story. I don't have POTS. I don't know what the hell that goes on. And, I don't understand. I mean, I research. Same thing with a lot of other issues that people in the community have because I want to be more sympathetic and empathetic to what you're experiencing. But I can't say that I've lived it, right? But just because I haven't lived what you had to do the other day when yours was going through the roof, I about fell over. I'm like, there's no way in hell I could do that. But that's what I want this community to be more. And this community is full of empaths.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's all we really, really are, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
So
but I want to say something about Jay's live, which just reaffirms the importance of sharing your story. Because when I was listening to Jay's story, he has daily chronic migraines, which I do as well. So it's like I resonated with him on that. But he went on to discuss his stay at the Diamond Headache Clinic, where he was there for an entire month. And he described it as like a concentration camp. And let me tell you, I also went there. Luckily, I was only there for 12 days, but I have never met a single human who went there. And
really,
when I've told people about my experience there, nobody believed me because that's the place I can't get my records from. I've tried numerous times, my lawyers tried, can't get my records. They will not release them. And I've never met a person that's been there. So it's like I felt like my experience was so singular. And when
mm-hmm.
he was sharing, I sent a message to Keith afterwards, and I was like, my jaw was on the floor. I was sobbing because somebody else went through that. Like, I hate that he went through it and went through it much longer than I did. But, if he hadn't shared his story, I wouldn't have found somebody that I can relate to. And we've had wonderful discussions and, you know, talking about it like reaffirms my experience and makes me feel less alone in that department. And I'm just like, if he hadn't have shared his story, I would have never known that, and I would have never had that validation that I didn't know I was so desperately looking for.
Yeah,
And
because
that's why sharing your story is so crazy because you never know who you're going to touch. You never
and
know.
I'd never heard of Diamond before, and so I was just blown by what he was saying. And somebody in the comments asked, "What is Diamond?" It's like a world famous migraine and
It is
headache institute, right? Supposedly.
it's a world-renowned headache migraine institute in Chicago, Illinois. and it is like the leading place for innovative treatments and whatever. But basically, once you get there, they put you inpatient in their hospital and give you all these treatments and have you do like biofeedback and all these different other therapies to cure you. And then for me, it was basically, I was told I could leave once I had a break in my migraines. And I had a break in my migraines after 12 days, and they let me leave. And we lived 4 hours south of Chicago. And about 2 hours into my drive home, my migraine came back. And so they said, well, the only option is for you to come back and come back in the hospital. And I begged my parents, because I was 17 at the time, or maybe just turned 18. And I begged them, I said, please do not, because my parents couldn't stay with me. They had to stay in a hotel across the street and only visit for a couple hours a day. And I was just like, please do not send me back there. Do not send it. And thankfully they didn't, but none of the treatment helped. I lost memory from it. The intravenous stuff they gave me burned my veins. So their idea was to dilute it and put ice over my IV site to numb the IV. But they had to keep doing it 20 hours a day. I mean, it was just torture, and it didn't help. And so it was like,
I want to go back because you said that it's world renowned. They are self-described as world renowned. Yeah. I want to describe it as that. They are self-described, and they have really good marketing. That's all I'm going to say about it. And everybody just needs to do research, right? Jay was there like a month, but was the things what he said, and they did biofeedback and were like trying to retrain his brain, and he walked out of there with like amnesia and all sorts of. His video's up on YouTube. It should be one of the very top. So I put a couple of shorts up there. So if you have to go down 3 or 4, but it's up there. And when you get to the part he talks about this, it's intense. But
I mean, and everything he said is true.
But that gets us back to believing people when they share their story, right?
Right.
So,
absolutely. Yeah, it was funny. So one of the things that we had to do there was like biofeedback, but like, get this. This is how kooky it was. They put this temperature device on my finger, and we had to visualize sitting beside a warm fire to where we could raise our body temperature. And we couldn't stop the exercise until our body temperature was raised. And then we would have to imagine we were in the snow and that we were cold and shivering so that our body temperature would come back down. Like, it was just, I would sit there for hours because I'm like, this is insane. Do you not think this is insane? But yeah, I mean, that's just one of the crazy, kooky things that this world-renowned place does.
Yeah.
And if it helps you, by all means, I hope it does. But, to have somebody else validate those experiences was amazing.
Yeah. So, but, and I loved how after that live, you reached out and you're like, I've never known anybody else. Never. And that's why listening to people and trusting them, believing them at their word when they say that they've experienced something. Just like, I'm going to refer to it again because it was so earth-shattering when Jolene, Chihuahua's mama, was on here talking about her diagnosis and how rare and everything. And sure as anything, somebody ended up getting diagnosed with the same thing because of that live, because the person that was watching trusted and believed Jolene and supported her when she was talking about it and started asking questions. And that's just the ultimate example of us getting better through some sharing our stories, right? And so that's why we need to believe. That's why we need to believe. And so that's why.
Oh, it was Sarah. Miss Sarah Kavanaugh. That was who got diagnosed
That
with
was you, Sarah,
non-small.
wasn't it? That was.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
so
and how
cool.
cool is that? You know, that's when the government shuts us down because if they don't like free speech, things like Sarah's story doesn't happen. That's right. How
Right.
special. And I talked to early this week how a lot of these lives, hopefully people can pull little pieces out and be more successful.
Mm.
And then oftentimes it's nothing to do with me at all. Like the live with Dr. Mike, out of nowhere, somebody donated 40 books. Boom, out of nowhere,
Oh
right?
my gosh. It was
Um,
so good.
so I think that's what I love about these lives, you know.
Hmm.
So, um, does
Yeah.
anybody else have any questions, comments, suggestions for those that have been that have been gaslit? Do you have ways to deal with it when your family or your spouse is dealing? You know, um, do you have ways that you deal with society besides I get violent and I throw stuff and I flip them off and I tell them what they can go do? Um, you know,
That's an option.
that's
Maybe not,
you just need
but it's not.
to um, Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. I would not try to cut back. So, um, but anyway, we can talk. Because I really want our community that if they're fighting this stuff to understand that we may not have all the answers, but we got your back, you know, and we're
Yeah.
going to actively continue um, to do whatever we can, you know, um, you know.
Absolutely. And I think the
So
point is to keep trying, especially if it's with a spouse, you know, they see you every day. And, you know, the other thing I talked to my husband about was that I think I've become too good at masking and it has become a detriment to me because there are people in my life that have no clue that I have anything wrong with me. And, you know, I think, you know, I don't know if he's masking around his wife or whatever, but I think showing the people around you how you truly feel and what you're actually going through is important too. That's something I need to take my own advice on because it terrifies the crap out of me to take a mask off. But I think it's important because the only person that sees me truly as myself without any masks is my husband. And I think, you know, being more open and honest with the ones that maybe don't understand may also be helpful. I don't know. I have found that in my life it's become a little bit of a detriment. So, you know, I'm working on taking maybe one or two masks off, not all of them, because they're my comfort blanket. But, you know, I'm working on taking a few of them off, even for you guys. I feel like, you know, I mask through a lot just because it feels comfortable because I've done it for so long. But I think it
yeah,
is important to show those around us how hurt we are.
it is,
And
and
it's okay that you're hurt. It's okay that you don't feel good. It's okay.
it is. But I have a feeling that I mean I mask a lot.
Yeah.
I try not to around the house,
Yeah.
and I try not to when I'm at when I'm at doctor's appointments. But I am guilty of masking at times to get through lives. I am guilty of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh,
but um, I understand why people wear masks around the house though, because we feel like a burden if we're continuously showing where we're at, right?
absolutely.
But we have
And
to
it's
try to find
us
that
and it's
line,
scary. Yeah.
you know, of understanding um, when we need to show where we're at.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that I would suggest to the person that had messaged me is
Yeah.
quite often on days I'll go to Valerie out of the blue in the morning. Hey, today's going to be a shit day.
Yeah.
You need to know,
Little daily report.
you know, because if not, she'll make a joke and I'll take it wrong, and then we'll end up sideways. So, um, so I mean, it's so yeah. I think that's another. But again, that goes back to communication. mismatch in
Yeah.
communication, which I hate to do.
And listen, we're not saying it's easy. It's definitely not an easy thing to do, any of this. But, I think it is important. And, wearing these masks is tiring. Like I think Sarah said, it's tiring to wear all these masks. It is. And, if you can be honest with the ones that you love, and especially your caregiver or your spouse, I think they're going to see that and not see it as complaining, even though you may feel like you're complaining. They want to help. And so
They do.
it's
And
hard.
it's hard for me to also offer because Valerie and I's situation is unique, like everybody's, right? She was on disability way before I was. So I was in the role she is for me now. I was in that role 10 years ago, right? And trying to take
Yeah.
care and doing what I can and all that kind of stuff. So now she's dealing with all her garbage, but she's in the role coming back to me, having to deal with me, So
Yeah.
it's just kind of where we're at. But I would just ask, in the community, if we can just do our best not to gaslight, just to trust and believe. My other pet peeve right now is, again, I understand what people hurt, they hurt. There's no reason to compare our illnesses. Mine's worse than yours. I don't understand that whole process that's going on right now too. But that's a whole, that could be another video, nobody deserves to hurt. I don't care race, religion, gender, or anything like that. I don't, I personally, I look at it there, but for the grace of God go I, that I don't have POTS, or I don't have a lot of gastro issues, or I don't have CRPS. Right? So I don't understand why a lot of I'm seeing more of that lately too. Which is sad.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to get caught up in when you see a video and somebody appears that they're doing great, and you're just like, well, and then in the next breath they are saying, I'm in 7 out of 10 pain or something. And you're like, well, they look fine. Like right now I'm in a 6 and I'm in bed, or I can't do this and you can do that, but you're complaining more or whatever. And I just think it's so easy to get caught up in that game that we just have to remind ourselves that everybody's pain is different. Everybody's mask is different. You have to remember, are they wearing a mask? Are they just, some people are just complainers. And that's okay too. Some people are more comfortable coming on TikTok and complaining about what's going on. I'm not as comfortable doing that. I would rather just isolate and not make a video than come on and share how I'm actually feeling. Or I'll wear a mask for videos or whatever. So I think it's so easy to get caught up, but you don't actually know what's going on behind the camera or behind the scenes. And so I understand why people do it, because I think it's easy to get caught up in that. But you just have to remember that you don't actually know what's going on. Because, when I'm, doing my cold showers or throwing up, I'm not coming on here and telling you guys about it.
No.
I'm making a video smiling and saying, hope you guys are having a good day. Like, we're going to talk about this or whatever. But 2 minutes later, I'm doing this or whatever, so I just think you have to remember that social media is kind of an illusion. You don't actually know what's going on unless people are willing to share what's actually going on. So just, be mindful of that.
And there are times, I disappeared for months with my brain fog, right? But I do understand showing some of the stuff that we go through. And how bad it can be. I have no problems with people getting on it and verbally vomiting that it's a shitty day, that they just need, and being there to support them. But I guess mine was, I've never been below a 12 on my pain scale in my life, when somebody's like, holy shit, today's a rough day. And then the comments are like, I've never been below a 12. You have it easy. And it's like, the hell? Where's the love in this? Where's the love?
We're all struggling.
we're all struggling, you know.
We're all
So I mean, I
struggling.
think that's again, that's a whole other topic. But is there anything else anybody has on gaslighting tonight? I just wanted to mainly talk about this person's message. I hope they got a lot of stuff. Sarah, you know, you're in a room of people that care about your shit.
Yeah,
Okay,
we do.
you know that.
Of anybody, we care. But
It's,
we think that. I find myself thinking that all the time. That I'm like, well, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Like if I'm having a rough day, well, whatever. But it's like people do care. I care. I want to know how you guys are doing. And right, I know you mean with other people. I say that all the time. It drives my husband nuts because I'm like, we'll be around his family or my family, and he'll be like, say something, and I'm like, nobody cares. And he's like, yes, they do. And I'm like, no, the little brain and the little voices inside me are telling me, no, they don't.
nobody gives a
They
shit.
don't care. But they do. I promise. People do care. You just have to
They
give them
do.
the chance to care. It's hard
Um,
though. I don't
look,
take my own advice. I'll tell you that much. I don't.
no, I don't
I
either.
give good
Half the
advice, but
time,
I don't always take it.
I um, I was tagged in a video somebody did today, and Shelly left a comment on this beautiful lady's video. She's talking about masks, right? And
Yeah.
Shelly said something. You need to come out and join CR community, you know. And it was one of the coolest things. Number one, Shelly is amazing. I love her. She's as a retired nurse, her knowledge is just incredible. But knowing that Shelly feels comfortable to share the community with a complete stranger because Shelly may not have the same diagnosis, but Shelly understands what it's like when nobody wants to hear our shit, right?
Yeah.
And and offering that, you know, to another, to a stranger. And that's what I love about when the community is good. When the community is good and I get messages, I really used to think I was alone in this new world.
You're not.
That's what I love about this community and what it does. So, does anybody have anything else on gaslighting? Because I'm not gaslighting when I'm telling you that my back is shit tonight, and I may have to go take some more meds. So, is there anything else? Any other, just for the fun of it? Does anybody have any victories they want to just throw out there? Does anybody need to verbally vomit something?
Yeah, share
Throw
it.
it out. You know. Just on a personal note, I am catching up on my messages. I'm below 200 now.
Look
So
at you.
I still recommend people emailing keithcpp@gmail.com. And that's the best way to find me. I would beg to go to the YouTube channel and just hit thumbs up, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It's completely free. And just go random, hit the thumbs up button on the videos, you know. If you're okay with supporting what the videos say. Like the Invisible No Mores on Thursday nights are pretty safe, right? Go to Keith in Texas on Instagram. Let's continue to build that. The Discord is up and running, but since TikTok came back, it's gotten awful quiet in there, and we have some really cool things that I want to do. Like I want to do different, even though we're a community of different backgrounds and different diagnoses. It was suggested we put together groups of like CRPS chat group or POTS chat group, and have different mods. Not me, because I don't understand CRPS. Have somebody with CRPS modding that, right, and leading the discussions. We're talking about possibly doing a book club with Dr. Mike's book. You know, twice a month, once a month, get together, talk about different chapters. I'm totally down with doing that. So we got a lot of cool things coming up, and if you guys have suggestions, throw them out there because it's your community.
Yeah.
I'm just a part of it. That's all it is. So, parting shots, Miss Amy. Would you care? Any tea that we need to know about? Any SWAT raids lately?
No, but you want to hear something funny. So we have lived here in this community for 5 years now. And, you know, for the majority of the 5 years, I have not been working. So I've been out on my little porch just watching, you know, just keeping an eye out. And so, you know, in December, I got strep. And I was out for like December. Plus, it was cold. And then in January, when I started feeling better, got strep again and have been out. And so I haven't been on my perch like usual, monitoring everybody. And lo and behold, yeah, just like a little groundhog or something, just like sitting there watching. But lo and behold, guess what? We get an email from the HOA saying that people have been reporting stolen packages and that you need to be careful. Don't leave your packages out for too long because people are stealing them. And I'm so sorry, this has never happened before, but it seems to be a problem right now. And I'm like, it's because I'm not there. I've left my post and things are going crazy. I need to get back out there and keep an eye on things because we've never gotten a letter about packages being stolen. And all of a sudden, now, when I'm not out there, things are getting stolen.
Yes.
So I need to return to my perch as soon as possible.
I was disappointed. I was so disappointed when I couldn't find any good deals on those things that fly around. So drones, so you could scope out your neighborhood. So disappointed. So
probably shouldn't be trusted with a drone, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently my sitting out there has deterred thieves. And I left, and this is what happens. Oh, you know, I know. I gotta listen, I know, Ash, I gotta get out there and do my job. I've been slacking. I need to do better. Who knew I was so important? I had no clue I was so important.
I'm surprised you don't have like a trail cam out front. So you'll like 24 hours a day capture motion as it's coming across, you know?
We're not allowed to have cameras.
Not allowed to have cameras?
Yeah, for real. We can have a ring camera, like a doorbell ring camera, but we cannot have security cameras. I don't know why. So, what? Don't ask me. So I can't keep it.
This is my shocked look. Like you can't have a security camera on your property?
Yeah, that's what they tell us. I mean, some people do, and like they've been up forever. But yeah, that's like part of the HOA that we signed. We cannot have security cameras out. I don't know. Seems a little shady to me. I feel like they're giving me the opportunity to sit out there, I think, which I appreciate. But you know, when I'm down, we gotta have other options here.
This is gonna sound so terrible.
Yeah, I'm just bird watching. Like the cameras aren't for people. I'm watching the birds. That's what I'm doing. I'm not.
You can't have cameras because we have the disabled sitting outside watching the neighborhood and replace them. They need these jobs.
That's right. That is my job. I will keep the community safe. We do not need cameras.
All right.
This is why I hate HOA neighborhoods, because they have stupid rules like that. Like,
that's so funny.
Stupid rules. But yeah, so it's my job, and I've been slacking, and you know, shit's gone. It's gone bad.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, I'm gonna go do my best to kill some of this pain, and I hope everybody had a good night tonight. Thank you for your suggestions and your thoughts on the gaslighting issue. You know, I don't know if we helped, but I hope we did. You guys are all honest, and you guys really gave us some good ideas. And I'll be talking with the person and letting them know this video. Joe has been really deathly sick, so hopefully, not deathly, he's not going to die, y'all. He's got like stomach flu and stuff like that. So he's a little bit behind on the YouTube, but I'll let y'all know, and I'll let the person that messaged me know that when it is up on YouTube. I'm still doing my best trying to produce content for all three. So if you need something from me, keithcpp@gmail.com. or reach out to Amy, because Amy's the brains and the beauty behind all of what we do. So you guys have a great night. I love you guys. Please be safe. And if you need something, reach out. We'll talk to you soon. See ya. Peace.
Bye.